Welcome back. A stunning report about one of the most high-profile members of the Trump administration. MSNBC was first to report that Tom Homan, President Trump's border czar, was allegedly recorded accepting $50,000 in a bribe from undercover FBI agents last September, telling those agents who were posing as business executives that he could get them government contracts in a second Trump administration. That's according to multiple people familiar with the probe and internal documents reviewed by MSNBC. Now, the FBI and the Justice Department plan to wait and see whether Homan would follow through on the promised help when he took office before bringing any charges. But this case stalled after Trump became president. In response to MSNBC's exclusive reporting, FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a statement, quote, they found no credible evidence of any criminal wrongdoing after a full review. And the White House said the FBI's investigation was, quote, a blatantly political investigation which found no evidence of illegal activity. Homan, for his part, did not reply directly to MSNBC's request for comment. However, the White House said on his behalf, quote, Tom Homan has not been involved with any contract award decisions. He is a career law enforcement officer and lifelong public servant. Joining us now, one of the reporters on that scoop, MSNBC senior investigative correspondent Carol Leonnig, and back with us, former FBI assistant special agent in charge, Michael Feinberg. So, Carol, give us a little bit more background here. According to your reporting, when and why did the FBI start looking into Homan originally?
So in late 2023 and some of 2024, the FBI in Texas was engaged in an investigation that was separate. They were looking into a whole nother matter, and they ran into a business executive and official who knew Homan well. And during these conversations with this subject of their investigation, this subject kept saying, Tom Homan can get you contracts in a future Trump administration in exchange for money. This intermediary for Homan proposed that the undercover agents posing as business executives pay $1 million and that they would land them some great contracts when Trump was elected. The FBI then essentially opened a new investigation of Tom Homan because they felt they had to. And they began reaching out to him, having communications with him and his intermediary. And eventually it culminated in a meeting in September 20th, 2024, when Tom Homan accepted a bag of cash with $50,000 in it. The intermediary also was there.
Wow. So, Michael, and I should correct myself, your last name, Feinberg. Forgive me for messing it up a couple times now. Michael, what do you make of Carol's reporting? Did you ever see a case like this during your time at the Bureau?
I mean, it's not uncommon for counterintelligence cases, as it's been reported, the initial investigation was to result in public corruption cases on other individuals. There's a real overlap between the two fields. But the way that DOJ and the FBI has reacted to this reporting is pretty irregular. First of all, I think we should note neither Kash Patel nor Todd Blanche in their statements attempted to deny that the transaction took place, that Homan did not grab the bag of cash. But, you know, the larger irregularity here is the FBI director and DOJ's continuing insistence on making press releases about matters that they normally would not. I am only aware of one major politically tinged investigation where the FBI director stated that the person had not committed a crime and could not be charged. And that, of course, was Jim Comey's semi-exoneration of Hillary Clinton. And we all know what the people currently occupying the Justice Department thought of that act by him. So it's a bit rich to now see them doing the exact same thing for their own political allies.
The thing that strikes me, Carol, is that this evidence appears to be on camera, on video, or on some kind of a recording, right? There is this tangible evidence. So where did the case end up, and why was it ultimately in the Trump administration dropped?
So Mike knows this better than me, but many agents and sources involved in this essentially were really concerned because they did record him accepting a bag of cash. And most FBI seasoned investigators view accepting cash in a secret meeting that is surreptitiously arranged as sort of evidence of corrupt intent, someone realizing that they're doing something criminal and inappropriate. So that recording was incredibly important to them and a key piece of evidence. Legal experts told us that Homan could have been charged then, even though he wasn't a public official. He could have been charged with conspiracy or fraud in promising something improper in exchange for money. But what happened, to your question, was that basically, the investigation stalled as soon as the Trump appointees came into the DOJ and the FBI, and it was shuttered last month.
Michael, any surprise there that this case was dropped, given what we know of the evidence? And how difficult would it have been to prove some of these charges that Carol mentioned, conspiracy, bribery, or potentially fraud?
So a bribery charge might be a little bit difficult if this was not continuing behavior, simply because Mr. Homan was not a government official at the time he took this bribe. I'd imagine that the reason the FBI did not pounce immediately after that transaction is they wanted to see if that behavior would continue once he had taken his oath of office. Unfortunately, they were stymied by the DOJ and by the new leadership of the FBI from following through on those leads. But even without that, I think they'd have a pretty solid conspiracy to commit bribery or conspiracy to defraud the United States case. There's video evidence of this. In terms of things you can show a jury, in terms of things you can get admitted to court, there usually is not much better than video evidence of the criminal activity occurring.
Wow. Michael Feinberg, thank you. Carol Leonnig, great reporting. Thanks for bringing all of it to us. And to read all of Carol's exclusive reporting on Trump border czar Tom Homan, you can scan that QR code you see there on the bottom right of your screen.